Hi everyone, apologies if you're wondering if we're sitting here in silence. We were just waiting for other people to attend, but obviously if they're coming in late, that's absolutely fine, or they may watch afterwards. So I'm just going to reintroduce myself. As you know, I'm Laura Rose, one of the founders of the LGBT Mummies Tribe, and with us is Mila, who is one of the client account managers for Cryos. Hi Mila, how are you?
Hi, very well. How are you?
Not bad, thank you, not bad. So I'd like to introduce Cryos as an organisation. They are an international sperm and egg bank, and they're actually the world's largest sperm bank in the world. They've been around for more than 33 years and they're global, so they deliver to over 100 countries. From Cryos is obviously Mila, she's the client account manager, and she works on developing relationships with clinic partners and assisting clients like yourselves at all stages in the fertility journey. So I'd like to welcome Mila, and she will be presenting today.
Thank you so much for having us. Yes.
No problem. It's great to have you on.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to start by sharing my screen here.
And everyone, I'm going to go off so you won't see me as a distraction. So I'll see you in a bit.
All right. I think I don't need to introduce myself after the wonderful introduction you've given. What we'll cover today is just a bit general about Cryos, why use donor sperm, why use Cryos in particular, how to use donor sperm for fertility treatment, who are the Cryos sperm donors, and why do our donors donate. And then we'll leave a bit of time at the end for a question and answer session. We've gotten some of the questions ahead of time, but if you have any questions after the presentation, you're welcome to write them down. Make sure you write which country you're writing from, so if there's any particularity about that country, I can address it as well. So why donor sperm? So there's many reasons why people may decide to go the donor route. Obviously, for heterosexual couples, when there's an issue with male fertility, they will they might decide to go with a donor. Single mothers, obviously, have a need for a donor, and lesbian couples, and especially for single mothers and lesbian couples, there's quite a bit of a difference about using donor sperm or using a known donor, or going through some of the websites that offer this kind of service. So our donors, they don't have any parental rights, so there's no chances that the donor might have any rights or obligations with the children, and that's very important to bear in mind when making that decision. And also, you know you're getting a thoroughly screened donor and very high quality samples when you're buying from a sperm bank. So that's also quite important at the time of making your decision. Of course, it gives you the chance to find a donor that maybe looks like you or like your partner, and that suits your family interest. Maybe you find donors with similar profiles like yourselves, or that share some of the lifestyle or some of the interests. By providing you a lot of information about the donor, perhaps even more than you would about any other partner sometimes, you get to make a really informed decision. So basically, why would you choose Cryos in particular? And Cryos, our motto is for us, it's personal, and it really is. We really have this idea that every person that calls us or contacts us has a very special and very particular story, and we want to know exactly what their situation is and where they live, and how we can provide this personalized service depending on the circumstances and where they are on the fertility journey. We also have a team of very dedicated and professional customer care consultants that speak more than 12 languages, and we also have legal expertise and genetic expertise in-house, which means that if we don't know the answer to your question, we can also reach to the legal expert or the genetic expert and find the needed information for you. We are the greatest, the largest sperm bank, so we offer the greatest choice. We believe in providing you with as many options as possible, so you can make a well-informed and a decision that you can that makes you feel good about the decision. And we also provide donors that have adult photos. It's a selection of donors, but we found that for many clients, it's a game changer, and it's really important for some clients to see what the donor looks like. And this is something new, and we're the only ones doing that in Europe, as far as I know. So we've also been around for a long time. We're very solid and well established. This is important for you in the sense that you want to have you want to give your child the opportunity to get in touch with us and to have that support at at the end of the day when they turn 18 and they have to get the information about the donor. We've been around for more than 30 years, and we're not going anywhere, essentially. We deliver fast. We have a very flexible shipping, and our orders can go out of our labs very quickly. We deliver an order in 1 to 2 days within Europe. But having said that, it's not, it's better always to make an order and do it with time. Avoid this last minute rushed deliveries. We can do it, but it's always better to allow time and do it with allowing also the clinic to have the time to receive the sperm, and they have to store it most of the times. But we do have this very fast handling and shipping option. Safety and transparency. We have a very robust system in place that ensures traceability. It's very important that everything we send out of the house is documented, and that everything is, we keep up with all the information, all the news about all the regulations, and we follow all the Ministry of Health and the guidelines for each country. So we've qualified, donors to each country and their own regulations to make sure that everything is in place, and we're very transparent about that as well. And quality and selection. We have the highest number of registered pregnancies in the world. I think that speaks to the quality of the sperm, and also the fact that we select very good donors. We only select actually 5 to 10% of the candidates that walk into the door. We go through a very thorough and exhaustive selection process. We want to make sure that only the best and healthiest of the candidates become Cryos donors. So how does it work? On our website, the first thing you need to do is you need to create an account, because of the GDPR rules and everything. We have to have you sign in before you can see the profiles. But after you create that account, you have access to basically everything about the donors. You can use the filters to select by your preferences. Make sure that you indicate the right country of treatment, because that will show you the right donors that you can use in that country of treatment. And then you'll go ahead and find your favorite sperm donor. You add the straws to an order or a reservation, and then you purchase the sperm. The difference between an order and a reservation is the order is something you purchase, and you will have it shipped within the next 3 to 4 weeks. A reservation is something we encourage you to do for future treatment or for siblings, and we keep it in storage for you. And we will cover that in more detail. So how much should you order? So the first, and what to order. So both questions. So the first thing, obviously you need to speak to your clinic, because it really depends what treatment you're going to be having, and then they're going to base the recommendation on your personal health, your age, and your situation. Most clinics have an opinion about this. They might not, in which case we can offer recommendations. But it's always best to follow what your clinic would like you to order. We have different motilities. Mot stands for motilities, and you will see on our website that we have from motility 5, motility 10, motility 20, and motility 30 plus. And then we have 2 types of straws: ICI straws and IUI straws. So motility means the number of motile or mobile sperm cells per milliliter. Our straws, we don't have vials, we have straws, and they're thin straws that contain 0.5 milliliters of volume of sperm. And within those, within that volume, the mot determines the amount of active sperm cells that are in it. So motility is measured per milliliter. So a mot 10 would have 5 million active sperm cells, because our straws are 0.5 milliliter. A mot 20 would be 10 million sperm cells. So you could buy maybe 2 mot 10 to have 10 million, or you could buy 1 mot 20 and you would also have 10 million. The different straw types. So ICI straws are unwashed sperm, and the IUI straws have already been washed and are ready to use, for example, for an insemination. If you buy an ICI straw, then the clinic will have to prepare the straw and will probably wash it, and the motility will probably drop a little bit, because that's in the process of cleaning it out, and you can expect the motility to fall. So have that in mind if you are buying ICI straws. What we recommend. So it really varies a lot by country, by clinic, what the clinics want. It also varies depending on the age of the woman and the treatment and how many cycles they've gone through. So most, and this is very general, but most of the time, a mot 10 or a mot 20 IUI straw works for most treatments. Again, some clinics are fine with a mot 5, and some clinics only accept a mot 20. So it really varies. We tend to see that the calculation is 5 to 6 straws per child, because it might not work the first time. And when you're planning when you're placing the order, make sure you think ahead and think of not only of future treatments, but of siblings if you're planning to have genetically related siblings. So if you want to use the same donor for the siblings, because by the time you get to the second treatment, after you've had the first child, we might not have any more straws from that donor, and a lot of people find that out too late. We don't have a separate stock, so it's important to, when you decided on a donor, and you go ahead to think ahead and already make that investment. You can always buy and set it aside, and we'll keep it in storage for you. You'll have to pay a small storage fee. But the benefit of that is that if you end up not using those straws that we keep for you, we can, and you decide to cancel that reservation that you've done, we'll refund you with 75% of the straw price. But it can't leave our laboratories. It has to be stored at Cryos. We cannot refund for anything that has left the lab. So who are the donors? Our donors are 18 to 45 years old, physically healthy and mentally strong men. More than 50% are in a relationship, and almost 50% have or are in the process of receiving higher education. About 50% have full-time jobs or are self-employed. We have a lot of university students too. And about half of them are also blood donors, which is very indicative of their motivation to donate. I think it speaks to the culture of donation that exists here in Scandinavia. So we get all sorts of motivations to donate from our donors. A lot of them have told us that they've had family members who encountered infertility, and they've seen firsthand what the difficulty with that is. A lot of them have had friends who decided to become parents through donors, and they decided it was a way to give back to society and help those who needed it. Others have had children themselves and can't imagine life without them, and want to help others create families as well. We have done a lot of videos with some of our donors. We can't go through them now because it would take too long, but I encourage you to go to our website and look at some of the videos. I think most of them might be in Danish, but with subtitles. And you can see firsthand why they decided to donate. We have quite a few testimonials there. So I think that covers about it. If you have any specific questions that I didn't cover, please go ahead and write them now, and I'll try to answer any of the questions. And yeah, I think Laura Rose, if you want to take over the question and answer.
Yeah. Thank you, Mina. That was so informative, and I'm sure everyone really enjoyed how thorough you were with the detail. We obviously have a lot of questions that people submitted, which was brilliant, before they registered. However, we have had multiple questions in regards to Brexit and policies. So I do want to cover that off first, because quite a few people have said the same.
Yeah.
So Mina, if you can cover, if I just scroll down, because there was quite a few next to each other. What impact is Brexit going to have on order times for coming outside of the EU with the UK? And will this have an impact on shipping costs as well for the UK? Is that something you know yet, or has legislation not changed?
We know. We've been working for a year, more or less, actually almost 2 years now on Brexit, because there were a lot of almost happened and then it didn't, and almost and then it didn't. So we've been preparing quite a bit. In terms of getting ready with the clinics, we've worked with them so that they had all the paperwork on all the groundwork we did beforehand. So and there's going to be time to get that finished before they they cut off the date, so to speak. Not cut off, but they need to have a contract essentially, and we've worked on that for a year now. In terms of shipping, we've been shipping since January, and everything is going through. It's not an issue. The only difference is that because the UK left on January 1st, effectively. So now there's customs involved, which means that an order that arrives in customs in the UK will have VAT added to the value of the shipment. So customers may be expected to pay about a 20% VAT charge now on receipt of the shipment. Before they paid with us VAT on our website, before Brexit happened. Now they don't pay any more that, but they have to pay it at the end when the shipment is received. So that's essentially it. Other than that, there's no changes. So I want to make sure everyone feels okay about that because we can deliver, and there hasn't been there has been no order that had trouble getting in, so to speak.
That's brilliant. That's really great. So I'm going to go to the pre-registration questions now, and then I know that there's quite a few in the Q&A and the chat, so I'm going to cover them off as quickly as I can with Mila.
Yes.
So the first one, Mila, was what is the advice when both partners are planning to conceive? Is there anything to consider in terms of choosing one donor for both pregnancies or all pregnancies for both parties?
And this, I assume it's in the UK, the question is coming. So the only, let me stop sharing my screen now. The only concern I would say is that there is enough stock for both partners. So make sure when you decide on the donor, make sure that you plan ahead so that both partners can use the same donor, so that in the UK, there's a limit to the number of families that can use the same donor. That means that when you buy straws from us, you also buy a quota reservation, we call it, and it's essentially a family slot. That quota reservation gives you a right into those 10 families allowed to use the same donor. So as a family, as a couple, you'll need one quota, which will give you that right to use that donor. But the only concern is that you buy ahead because we might not have stock in the future, you know. So very important to do that. And then and then you can register with both names on the account if you want, or just to make sure. But essentially, the person receiving the treatment has to place the order, so we know it's for her. Yeah.
Someone has asked, if I have a chronic disease, do you do checks to ensure donors aren't also passing those bad genes on?
Yeah. So we do very extensive screening of the donors, and any donor with serious hereditary diseases will not be accepted as donors. Having said that, we all carry recessive genes, and we cannot test for everything, but we test for 46 of the most common recessive conditions. And you can see that under each donor profile, you can see their file. It's called Summary of Records. So you can see exactly what they were screened for. If you have a rare genetic condition and you're worried about this, make sure you reach out to us and we can see if we have any donor that has been screened particularly for that, because you won't be able maybe to find it on the website. We might be able to, but otherwise you can see on the profile.
Perfect. This is from Great Britain. Can we order sperm from a bank for home insemination? How does this differ from ordering for use in a clinic? Now, I know this answer, but I will leave you to answer.
The answer is no. We cannot no longer in Europe deliver to private addresses, so to private clients. We can only deliver to authorized clinics, licensed clinics in the UK. So we can't do that. Our Cryos West USA can within the US. So you can travel to America and order, but we cannot send from Denmark, no.
Brilliant, thank you. So this is someone who apologised. They said they're really new. It's absolutely fine. Every question is valid. Nothing's a silly question. What are the rules for sperm donors? Are they heavily health checked and all existing medical problems listed? Also, significant families past medical history. So you did cover off, Mila, the first part of that in regards to genetics and what you cover. But in regards to significant family members, so immediate family, what do you cover in regards to that?
Yeah. So the extended profiles, you can actually see the some of the history of their family, and we do check within their immediate family if there's any history of disease or anything like that. And that would also be, if it's directly related and hereditary, that would also be a reason why we would reject a donor. So we do actually cross-examine our donors by different people at Cryos. Different healthcare professionals do that. So yeah, we do have a very long and exhaustive selection process.
Perfect. Can you provide clarification on what the reservation quota is for the UK? So that's in regards to the family slots, isn't it?
Yeah, I can explain it quickly. So every country has a maximum number of families that can use one donor. Yeah. That's to control how many families are using the same donor that could be maybe related. And in the UK, it's 10 families. Mm-hmm. So in order to control for that, we sell you a quota reservation. That quota reservation, when you become pregnant, it's very important to convert it to a pregnancy so we can count those pregnancies at the end. If you do not become pregnant and if you do not intend to receive any more treatment and you don't have anything left on storage at the clinic or with us, you can always give up that quota, which releases the spot for another family, and you will get the refund of that reservation, that quota reservation. So it's a way to ensure that we're compliant and that everything is under the 10 family limit.
Perfect. No, that's really helpful, that part. Why can you no longer send sperm directly to recipients? We bought our sperm before the rule come in and we can no longer get it to our personal address. Maybe I'm not the only one asking this. I think we just covered that off in regards to why, but
essentially the law changed in Europe in I think it was 2018 or 19. So we had to stop that, and we were very sad about that. We know we were helping a lot more women that maybe didn't want to go to a fertility clinic, but unfortunately that's the law now, and we had to stop.
Okay. What happens if a sperm donor is a carrier for something? I guess that comes under the genetic checks that you do, doesn't it? But if they're a carrier of something specific, that would be under their profile.
We cannot accept a donor that we know is a carrier of a genetic disorder. So those that you can see on the website, you will see that everything is negative.
Okay, helpful. Another one about Brexit, which we covered. Is there a maximum number of families one donor can create from your bank? I know it's 10 in the UK, but is there a maximum from yourselves? Or maybe covering other countries as well, because we've covered the UK quite a lot, which is 10. Is there anywhere else that has a maximum?
So a lot of countries have a maximum quota, and we follow all of the countries that have a legislation, and we have a quota system for that. Mm-hmm. So each country has a quota system. And we have a very rigorous stock management system to ensure that we're not producing too much of a donor, so that we can control the amount of pregnancies. And we aim to have about 25 to 50 families worldwide.
Yeah.
In the past, we may have had more, because in the past, we've been around for a long time, and we didn't have this system, but now we are very strict about production also, to make sure that we stay within those parameters. Yes.
Someone said about sharing thoughts regarding donors donating to too many families. Obviously, you've just covered that. And having siblings. Someone said it was obviously a concern for them. I guess that's something that you've covered off already, that now that legislations are in place, that isn't happening as much, but previously, years ago, it happened more often.
Right. I have to say, though, that we have a product or a way that you can buy an exclusive donor. If you want to be the only person using a donor, you can also do that. But otherwise, you can rest assured that within the country that you're purchasing, there is usually in Europe, a lot of countries have this limit. So we are within those limits. And yeah. And
okay. Someone said that they'd love to know more about the price of buying sperm and storing. Would that be best for them to contact you directly for that, for a price list?
Actually, everything is on the website, everything. So if you go under a donor, you can see what's available and exactly what it will cost you. Okay. I can give you some parameters, but it really varies, because a basic profile that gives almost, very little information, just characteristics about the physical appearance and all the screening is the same for all of them. Then that donor with basic profile will cost a lot less than a donor with an extended profile with adult photos. So that will be, the most expensive, and then an extended without photos will be a little bit less, and then the basic a lot cheaper. So there's a big range, and also it varies by motility and by straw type. So I think it's easier if when you go into the website, you find the donors that you like, and you can see what's available and what they cost, because it really varies quite a bit.
And I guess it depends on what you're actually looking for. If physical attributes or having that extended profile isn't as important, or it's a financial decision, then you can kind of look and you can go for those more basic profiles.
Exactly. Yeah, and you can always reduce the cost by having less access to information if that's not
imperative.
It's quite a jump in the price, so we offer a bit for everyone, I think.
Perfect. Do you work with any clinics in Germany? Someone's asked.
Yes, we do. Quite a few. So make sure you write. I can't. I don't work with Germany, but we have a team, and if you write to us, I'll give the email address at the end. Maybe I can write it here.
Yeah. A Netherlands couple who said, do you by a chance know which clinics you work with in the Netherlands, or would that be something that they would contact the Netherlands team?
Yes, contact. So I'll say it and then I'll write it at the end again, but it's dk@cryosinternational.com. We also have, if you go on our website, a chat function, and you can also call us, or you can also book a call with us. So it serves the time and day that works for you, and we'll call you. In that way, you can ask the country-specific question.
Perfect. Someone has asked, does the NHS use you as a sperm bank, or is it only private clinics that use you?
Oh, we have quite a few NHS clinics as well. It varies a lot, but make sure you contact us and ask if we work with them, and then we can get in touch with them. So the process I didn't go through, but the process in the UK is a bit different than in the rest of the countries. When we get an order, we have to get it pre-approved by the clinic before we send it. So there's no chance that it will get sent and the clinic suddenly didn't. Yeah. So
that's perfect. Someone has asked, is there a risk from an HGV positive donor to the mother or the baby?
No, we check for HIV.
HGV. Is it supposed to say HIV? Sorry, I think.
Yeah. I assume that's what it is, HIV?
Yeah. I'm assuming so, HIV, sorry.
No, we check we do testing according to the guidelines that are established by the UK authorities. So I don't see any reason to believe that.
Okay. We've asked some questions about Brexit and shipping. How long does shipping take to the UK? I don't think you covered that. Do you know how many days?
1 to 2 business days. Now with this requirement of paying the fees at arrival, it might take an extra day, or depending how fast the payment gets settled. But it's 1 to 2 days on arrival. Yeah. From the time we ship, which means we have to get the approval of the clinic before, which happens quite fast.
Yeah. Germany, we've had that question as well. How many straws do you recommend for IVF?
Can you see me okay? Because I just lost the...
Yeah. Can you see us?
Okay, yes, sorry. Can you repeat the question?
How many straws do you recommend for IVF? So you had about an average of 5 to 6 straws. Would that be the same for IVF?
So the 5 to 6 would be for several cycles. You only need 1 straw per cycle. I would say on the majority of clinics or of clients order mod 10 or mod 20. So 1 mod 10 or mod 20 per cycle. But because most people begin the treatment thinking it's going to be the first try, and we find that unfortunately it's not always the same the first try. So go prepared that it might not work the first time, and that you might need to go 2 or 3 times or even 4. And that's why we say 4 to 5 straws per child to be on the safe side.
Yeah. What if you find a donor that you really like but the stock is low, i.e. there's 1 straw available? Is there a way of you advising if they're still donating, or would you then advise if they've retired?
Yeah. So I have to say that because of COVID, we have we've had to close down the labs a few times this year. We've stopped donations a few times, and it's new guidelines every other day, like it is everywhere. But so our obviously the donors used to visit us a lot more than they are now. So you might see that your favorite donor maybe hasn't had straws for a while. You can always check with us if they've retired or not, and you can also ask us if we expect any straws becoming available anytime soon. Sometimes we have a good idea, sometimes we have no idea, but you can always try. And the website is updated on real time, so make sure you keep an eye on the website regularly, because it gets updated. We don't have anything set aside. When it's ready to go, it gets on the website right away.
Perfect. Someone said, what is the price for a pregnancy slot for the UK?
Yeah, so for every country that has ID release donors is €350 plus VAT. So it's about, I don't know in pounds how much that would be.
I don't either, I won't pretend. I'd have to work it out. But no, hopefully that will be helpful for the person who asked that. In regards to how far in advance should we purchase sperm from you before the treatment is beginning to start or scheduled? That's for London. I think you gave a bit of an overview on that, but kind of if you can gauge like, X amount of weeks prior to, because of Brexit, because of getting it there and getting it confirmed.
I would say the earliest, the better. So the earlier the better, but you can place an order up to 4 weeks in advance of the shipment. And then bear in mind that your clinic can always store it for you. So, I wouldn't do it with less than 2 weeks. Some clinics have rules about this, that you cannot start any part of your treatment unless you have ordered the sperm sometimes. So do it with time. Everything is better if done with time. So you can do it up to 4 weeks in advance with us.
Someone else has said, what tests do you do if mum-to-be already has a genetic disease that they don't want to pass on to the baby, to check the sperm beforehand? That's similar to the question before, but this is obviously if the mother has a genetic disease.
Yeah.
Would that make a difference?
So if the mother knows that they have something, first of all, they need to take the file of the donor to the doctor and analyze it. We might not have tested the donor for the gene that she needs to check. We might have some donors that we've checked in the past because of anything that came up, some,
Yeah.
So they might contact us, but and we might be able to help. So make sure they reach out to us if they know they have a serious genetic condition. We might be able to find a solution. Mm-hmm.
If someone says they can't see a donor profile on the website that suits them, do you offer a service where they say, oh, this is our ideal profile of exactly what we're looking for, and then you search for it, or you come back to them and say, actually, we found someone that's perfect for you, or someone's come in that meets your donor profile? Do you give that level of personalised service over and above what you already do?
Yeah, no, we don't. We believe that everyone should decide and choose according to, we have a very good filters that you can use, but we don't offer that. It's very subjective, and we think I think everyone should be making, because can you imagine if we decided that a donor was perfect and then they decide it's not,
and you thought that they weren't, and you just were like, that's nothing like what we imagined.
Exactly.
No, you're wrong.
So exactly. So it's a very personal decision, and it really should be the parents making.
Good question though.
Yeah, it is.
Do you have any affiliations with fertility clinics in the UK? Some clinics already have sperm banks they use, but what if we like your sperm more? Again, I guess similar to a question earlier. They just need to check with you if you work with that clinic directly.
Exactly, and we can always recommend clinics that we have very good collaboration. So say that you have a donor you love, and you have a clinic that maybe, there are some clinics that have their own preferential banks, like you say. They might say, okay, we'll receive it, or they might say, no, you need to choose from the sperm banks we recommend. So you can always contact us, and we can send you to some other clinics that we recommend, so that you can use the donor that you like.
Yeah. We did have another question about Brexit and being outside single market. That's been answered now for Sandra. Is there a limit to how long you can store the straws for?
Nope.
No. Okay. That was an easy one. Do you have many donors from different ethnic minority groups?
So we have, obviously we are in Denmark, and the majority of the donors are Scandinavian looking. They reflect the general population, but we do try to have as many phenotypes and ethnicities as possible. We do also have our bank in the US, and if you can't find what you want on the Danish website, make sure you can change the settings so you can access the US site, and maybe you find something there that is more of what you want, and then you can contact us and see, because we can import it for you and then send it from Denmark. Yeah.
Perfect. Someone else has asked, what does CMV represent, and are there any risks to the mother and child?
Yeah, CMV is a virus that it's very common, actually. And it's, I think by the age of 50, the statistics are that by the age of 50, about 80% of the population has had it. It's like a common cold virus. You wouldn't know that you've had it, probably, unless you get tested. And once you've had it, your status changes from negative to positive. It doesn't mean that you have it active. It means you've had it at some point, and you may not even know. So the only way of finding out is that you talk to your doctor and you get tested yourself. In the UK, I have to say it's not like this in the other countries, but in the UK, they really care about this, and they look at the status of the mother. If the mother is negative, they prefer to use a negative CMV negative donor. If the mother is positive, you can use both. So the majority of donors are positive, as are the majority of the population. So if you need help finding CMV negative, also reach out to us. We might be able to help with that.
Right, thank you. Someone else has asked, do you check for other mental health diseases in the donor or his family, for example, schizophrenia, bipolar, or borderline personality disorder that could make you not choose a donor, even if he doesn't have it in the family, say something like a parent or a sibling? Is that given, that information?
We do conduct several interviews, and we do psychological maturity evaluation of the donor.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And we do ask about the family history and if there's any history of mental health issues in the family as well. Obviously, there's no test for that. So we can't go and test the family members either. So, but we do conduct a lot of it, and we do also, as I said before, we cross-check cross-examinations by different healthcare professionals in our lab. So if there's any red flag, it usually is identified, and that would be a reason to reject a candidate if it's in the candidate itself or in the direct family. They might do an evaluation of whether it's a reason to reject or not, depending on what the situation is and what the condition. So
okay,
I don't know if that answered the question.
Hopefully. If not, they can pop you an email if they want further detail. What happens if hypothetically Cryos went bankrupt or closed down in between someone having the first or second child? If they want to get more sperm from their donor, or they have stuff stored with you, what happens? Obviously, I don't think that'd happen, but it's a good question to pose, I guess.
I don't think Cryos will go bankrupt anytime soon. People want their babies. But that wouldn't be the reason why you wouldn't get stock from a donor. The reason why you might not get stock from a donor might be because the donor has decided they don't want to donate anymore. That's a much more likely scenario. And if they don't want to donate, we have to respect their wishes, because they do this, out of their altruistic reasons. And if they decide that's as much as I can do, then we respect that. And if they ask us not to contact them anymore for donations, then we don't.
I guess it's a case as well, if you know that you're looking for future siblings, or your partner wants to then carry at a later time, trying to look ahead for the future, and maybe from someone that's had donor conceived children, I'd always say to people, if you can finance or plan or save to do that and get more vials or more straws up front, try and do that, because it's the worst thing to have people, for example, we support, whereby they'll only get a few at the time, and then they'll have failed cycles, unfortunately, or go back for a sibling or another sibling, and the donor's retired. It's really upsetting. So
exactly,
really try if you can to make sure you get more and some, because then that way you're covered.
And the peace of mind that, I mean, it requires a financial investment, as you say, and of course, and keeping it at Cryos, you can always get a big part of that money back if you end up not using it. So that's something that you also can count on.
Yeah, a bit of security as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's important that when you decide that this is the donor, and that's to plan ahead for future treatment and for siblings if you are thinking of having more than one child.
Someone else asked about how many straws do you get in one purchase, but we've covered that, haven't we? You said around 5 to 6 on average, and then you discussed about IVF.
Yeah, you can always buy. So to send, you can always send. I don't know if you plan to have. You don't know when you're starting, but maybe 3 cycles. The plan is to go for 3 cycles, and then you would need 3 straws shipped. Yeah. You don't need to ship them all at once. You can ship part of them and leave the rest at Cryos. but most people just ship. I would say the average order is with 2 straws per patient.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
maybe you have to pay more shipments, but you get if you get pregnant, then you can give the other straws back if you don't have them anymore. So it's a balance. You have to decide yourself how
where to store.
Yeah.
What's the quota for Spain? Someone said, I understand that orders cannot be sent to private addresses anymore. Does this count for the whole of Europe?
Yep.
So that counts for Europe as well?
It's a European law, yeah.
Perfect. So that means that no, for that person, no, you can't have it to a private address for Spain. Which type of health, genetic and mental tests are done to the donors? We've already covered that with someone else's question. And what are the clinics related to Cryos in Spain? Again, I guess that would probably be best to direct into some of your teams.
Can you repeat the question about Spain?
What clinics do you use or affiliated with in Cryos and Spain?
Yeah, we do have some clinics in Spain. So yeah, please reach out by email or by chat, and we can give you some recommendations. I'll write now the address. So I'll write it on the chat.
Yeah, that would be great for people.
So,
and I think I'll answer this one while you're typing, Mila.
Yes.
Someone else has asked, is there a list of all the things that they are tested for? Mila mentioned this before, you probably wrote it before she'd answered it. But yes, there is a list of everything they're tested for, which is on the donor profile, which will show everything that they have been tested for.
It's called Summary of Records. And there you have both the infectious diseases they've been tested for and the genetic diseases. And sometimes there's a variation, and it's because throughout the years we've tried to improve the testing. And so there might be some of the older donors that don't have exactly the same tests as some of the newest donors, because we've tried to update our testing, and so you might see some variation there, but all of the donors, regardless of whether they have a basic profile or a extended profile, they have the same screening, and we follow the same quality and screening process.
Perfect. Someone else has asked the question about ethnic minority donors, which you've answered. UK, what would you say the average total cost of having one baby is? I assume, Joel, you mean in regards to the cost of the sperm, rather than in regards to the treatment, obviously, because that would be something that's happening at the clinic.
Yeah.
Would you have an average of what people would pay on average for their sperm to get pregnant?
It's quite difficult because it really depends on the age of the woman, the fertility, if there are any issues with fertility or not. The treatment that they get, they might get IUI, which requires more tries, or IVF or ICSI, that is has higher rates maybe than IVF. So there's many variables there, and it's very hard. I can tell you that that one, I don't know, a Mod 10 basic profile, one straw costs in the neighborhood of €500. So depends how many tries you have to go through. Yeah. So there, I can't really give a number on that.
Yeah, sure. I think from the perspective of someone that's had 10 years of fertility treatment and multiple children, it does, like Mila said, depend on your fertility, your age, what treatment you're going for. Obviously, IUI is around 10 to 20% top success rate. So you could be looking at anything from 2 to 5 or 6 treatments to get pregnant, again, depending on your fertility. And IVF can be anything from 25% right up into the 60s. So it's really dependent on the success of your clinic. So really look at that as well. That's something really crucial to consider, along with the motility. That will give you more of an understanding of the cost when you look at the sperm, and then you look at the average of what it may cost you.
Yeah,
I hope that helps. Can the straws be kept at the clinics we're using in the UK until we're ready to use them? You did answer that and say yes, that they can store them.
Most clinics can. I think in the UK you need a different license from the HFEA to store or to just do. So check with the clinic, but most clinics have that capacity.
Yeah. Does shipping to the USA take longer? Shipping's probably
yeah, obviously yes, because we need to import it first and then send it over. So it has to stop here first. But it, you know, it doesn't take so long. Once you've, I think it takes about 3 days to get here, and then the 1 to 2 days. There
So
might be a delay.
If
there's a weekend, yeah.
Yeah.
But give yourself, yeah, a couple of weeks extra time just to make
got
sure.
A few more questions on here, and then I know a couple more on there, so I'll try and cover them off. The scores on personality evaluation, what are they measured out of? That's from Lucy.
The personality evaluation. So the emotional quotient, maybe they're asking for.
Possibly.
Yeah, it's a test. It's a test we conduct. It's not our test. It's a test done by psychologists, and it's like a standard test that we use. And then our donor coordinators were trained in this. They do it together with the donors and evaluate it afterwards. I assume that's what they're asking about.
I think so from that, but if not, Lucy, then just direct your email through, pop an email through, and they'll be able to discuss it further. Sandra mentioned, could it be possible to send to Taiwan? Do you ship to Taiwan?
I just had a discussion with my colleague yesterday about
Put
this.
you on the spot. Sorry.
It might be possible. So please write to us. I just talked to my colleague who works with the Asian market, and she mentioned something about Taiwan, and I can't remember if it was that we can or that we cannot. So please reach out to us, because she did mention something about Taiwan, so it might be possible to do that. Yes.
Sandra, pop an email over and they will get back to you definitely, just to reconfirm.
Yes.
Is the pregnancy slot or quota reservation included with the treatment, or does this have an extra cost? I think you mentioned that previously.
It has an extra cost, yeah. But as I said, it's like it allows you to use that donor, and then if you need to switch donors, or if you don't get pregnant and you don't want to try anymore, we can reimburse you for the quota reservation. So it's kind of like a sort of like a security deposit, so you can use that.
Last question, unless anyone else has any more questions, because I know we've just gone over. What services do you offer to children when they reach 18 if they want to know more about their donor? Is there a service you offer? So
we haven't reached that point yet. The law about ID release donors came about I think 16 years ago, so they haven't reached the age of 18. Right now what we can offer is to give the identifying information about the donor, so their name and I think last known address, and so they can, because what they agreed to is to be contacted. So that we can provide, but we don't provide, you know, that contact
connection.
No. And who knows, you know, we still have a few years ahead, but if we will provide other services, I don't know, because we haven't reached there yet. Well, we've actually come to the end of the webinar, and we've actually covered, Mila, I don't know how we've done it. We did magically. Over 50 questions. That's nice. Thank you everyone for coming forward and putting your questions forward. There was loads of really great questions in there as well, and I feel that Mila answered them great. If there's anything outside of that you think of afterwards, or that you think, oh, actually, I wish I'd asked that, please pop Cryos an email. They've dropped it in the chat. Mila and the team will be able to assist you, so please feel free. And if you have any questions outside that relating to parenthood or motherhood and the journey and being involved with us, you know where we are separately because you come through. Mila, do you have anything else that you'd like to share or say? No, I think, please reach out. We always are happy to hear from you. You can also mention that you were a participant in this webinar. It's also nice to hear that's where the questions are coming from. And any specific, we'll direct you to the to the country managers, so they know more. Fortunately, because I like it when they come from different parts of the world. And so please write to us. We'll answer all of your questions via email if we couldn't answer them here today. But thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you very much, Mila. You've been absolutely wonderful. It was a really great presentation. And thank you to all of you for actually coming and taking the time to listen. And again, if you need any further information from either of us, please reach out. Thank you. Thanks everyone for the nice little messages at the bottom as well. Take care, and thanks, Mila.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks everyone. Take care. Bye.